Hello and welcome to the short Vort on Parsha Shemos. This week's edition I will call Stock Market Volatility and the Jews. I thought it fit nicely with a thought that I saw from the Malbim, where he asked, how is it that the Bnei Yisrael went from being in the pinnacle, the aristocracy, to suddenly falling, it seems, to becoming the lowliest of the low, the Avadim, in such a short time. We'll get to the stock market a little bit later. Meanwhile, at the beginning of the Parsha, in the first 8 psukim, we get the Bnei Yisrael coming to Egypt, the sons of Yaakov. They're called here as Ish Ubeso, each man and his house. Previously in Parshas Vayigash, Perek Mem Vav, it describes the names of the sons. It doesn't call them Ish, because as they came to Egypt, they each rose to a level that each tribe, each became a household, a bias, an aristocratic house, such as the bias David, base David, that it's something that's exalted. Also, they had 2 other levels that made the Bnei Yisrael special at this time. One is that they were of the ruling class family. They were the Joseph's family. Therefore, they were looked up to as special people. And the third level is, with 70 people, they were still pretty rare, and therefore that was something special by itself. However, as we start going through the Parsha, we see there's a decline where all of these 3 levels disappear. First, Yosef and his brothers, all that generation, they disappear. So one level of exaltedness goes away. Then, Paru, Vayitzshu, Vayirbu, Vayatzmu, Mod Ma'od, they became very multiplied. They were no longer located just in Goshen. They were going out to all of Egypt, and they were swarming. Oh, there's a Jew here, a Jew everywhere. They weren't so special anymore. It was so commonplace. And the third and final piece of the puzzle is where it says in the Pasuk Ches, Vayakom Melech Chadash al Mitzrayim asher lo yadas Yosef. A new king came to Egypt who didn't know Yosef. He took away all of the laws that Joseph enacted, that gave the Jews special rights, or anything that it was implemented by Yosef to get rid of his memory. And this way, they were able to be brought down to even the lowly level of Adim. And if you look a little bit into the stock market, which has been in the news a lot, and if we go back to Parshas Bereshis of this year, so on October 3rd was the peak of the market, and then we started slowly selling off of various factors, just like the Bnei Yisrael were at a peak at one point, and then started step by step going down, and then you hit market lows recently, just earlier this week. Hopefully those are the lows, like the Jews becoming into slavery, and then they bottomed out. But hopefully, just like the Jews now, as we go through the next few parshios, we're going to have the Makos. The Jews are no longer working, and then we have 3 weeks, we have a Yishlach, the Shirat, the Yam, and then we get to an elevated status once again of Parshas Yisro, just 4 weeks from now, Matan Torah. So hopefully this is a way that the stock market also will start. It's not going to be straight line up from my experience as an analyst and an investor, but hopefully over time we'll start seeing the rise in the stock market. But that also gives us additional lessons, because we see this pattern over and over, both in Jewish history and in the stock market, that you have peaks and troughs, that you had the Davidic dynasty and Shlomo Melech. They built the Beis Hamikdash. The Jews were at a peak, but 400 or so years later, there was the destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash, and then there was a rebuilding, and then another destruction, and then a Gullus. So there's different cycles, and Baruch Hashem, we're having a lot of Torah and growth at this stage in the Gullus, and Mashiach should come soon. But the lesson I think to take away from this is that money comes and money goes, and you can't take it with you. However, there's something that you can take with you, and that's Torah mitzvos. So let us build up and take our time and emphasize doing chesed and mitzvos and learning Torah. And that's something that we will have that you can't take away from us, and something I'll be able to bring going forward in the future in Yemos Mashiach and Olam Haba. So thank you for listening. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful Shabbos.